Film Club. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Film Club. I'm one of your host, Andy Harrison, and with me, as always, Danny Dalton.
Hello.
Andy, in this lockdown, we are here to talk about They Live.
So John Carpenter's They Live is a bloke, Rory Piper plays him. He's a little vagrant, and he comes in to get a job. And then this job, he sees these people nearby. He's a bit suspicious of everything. Starts like kind of looking out, seeing these guys, seeing what they're on about, and they're on about this conspiracy that they're being controlled by the higher ups. The higher ups are actually, well, other people, different people. So this place gets raided. Police come in, absolutely deck them. And he finds some glasses, and then these glasses just see subliminal messaging. And these higher ups, these people controlling the world, are actually aliens from a different universe that are trying to essentially, capitalize the Earth. And then it kind of like he plans to stop it.
This was coming off of like John Carpenter's sort of like legendary 80s run, because John Carpenter, for the most part, pretty much, I don't know how you feel about this. For me, he really defines 80s cinema.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at stuff like what my favorite film by him, The Thing, like that is still to this day, it's for me one of the best, if not the best, horror I've seen.
Yeah, he wasn't just using the imprint of the 80s. He was creating the imprint of the 80s. He was the one who was like taking a lot of that synth music, or actually composing a lot of his own sort of synth electronic music, and then putting it over his own work. And that is one of the things that when you first start watching They Live stands out the most to me, is that the music is relentless, but I think I've used that term in a negative way before. It's relentless in quite a good way.
Yeah, it's quite imposing. It's on you. There's like heavy drones that just like absolutely like hit the ears and just like absolutely drown in it. That is quite a few times.
That's a great way of putting it. You just said there, imposing, because when this film starts, you're meant to feel like there's this sort of unspoken, imposing nature about the film. In fact, when it starts, I think it shares a lot of similarities with something like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Mixed with like The Truman Show, where there's something under the surface that isn't quite right. And as that protagonist starts to explore, as he starts to scratch and starts to just look a little bit deeper, you start to uncover this sort of horrific, scathing, what becomes a fundamental retort on like economical division in society.
Telling us just to watch the TV, watch ads, stuff like that, sleep, reproduce, and everything like that. Just follow a system, obey us, and everything. Obeys the word used absolutely loads throughout this film. I'm all on board with that. I thought that was fantastic. It's unfortunately used a bit more nowadays, so it might be a bit more diluted. But yeah, I was all on board with the theme of this film. I wasn't on board with the film.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how you feel. I'm all behind the theme. I think delivery, I absolutely hated it. Like, this is... I don't mean to like come. I know we got this as a recommendation. I don't mean to completely kind of like rip this apart, but I hated it. I was on board up until it was a bit of a slow start. I think it took about 30 minutes for stuff to truly kick in. And the main character, who I can't stand, by the way, the main character,
Rory Piper, who he's here to kick ass and chew bubblegum.
And he got the quote wrong. He got the word wrong. He got the quote wrong. Sorry. What? He's trying to quote Duke Nukem.
No, he's not.
And when I say bubblegum.
No, Duke Nukem's quoting this.
Did not know that. Did not know that. All right, so Duke Nukem, for me, his delivery is so much better. I hate the delivery. I hated how he's full of quips, he's full of cliches, and maybe he's one of the first people to start this. It feels very like kind of bro-force, very 80s macho sort of thing like that.
You've nailed something really important there, which is that he's totally macho. And Roddy Piper obviously was he's a wrestler. He was, like a WWF.
Did not know that either.
I don't think it's WWF. I think he was pre-WWF, whatever Hulk Hogan was doing. WCW, I think that's right. Someone can correct us down in the comments if it's not quite. But Roddy Piper was a wrestler, and he kind of embodies that machismo nature of quite a lot of John Carpenter's protagonists. Like, a lot of them are very sort of masculine. Think about Snake, for example. And they kind of borderline camp in sort of like a proto Sam Raimi style.
I thought, like, I was thinking about this. Am I watching a comedy? Is it trying to be like, I think Sam Raimi hit the nail on the head with that kind of reference. And I was hoping that there would be a bit more like comedic kind of qualities to it, or like something a bit more like take you out the loop, laugh and that. But this film is so serious. I mean, especially,
even
Christ,
he's a character.
The theme.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the theme. The music, everything sets you up to have like this serious sci-fi movie. And don't get me wrong, like considering its time, there's some parts that are really cool. I don't like how the aliens look, by the way. I think it's creative, but I don't like how they look personally. But like everything's really cool and sets you up for this really like intense kind of sci-fi. Like I said, very Blade Runner vibes. 6 years after Blade Runner sort of thing. And then he just comes out with all these 80s kind of like 80s horrible word to use, but these kind of like old school kind of cheesy quips, and I'm just like, I'm so out with this. It's taking me so out the film.
I'm giving you a choice. Either put on these glasses or start eating that trash can.
I can't stand him as a character. He brings nothing to the game. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing for you to kind of like back him.
So
Keith
Rory
David
Piper
had a bit of personality.
Like...
Keith David's like, oh, I've got a family, I've got kids, everything like that. He's got a bit of attitude, a bit of charisma. He's like, leave me alone. Rory Piper comes across and he's just like, oh no, you need to wear the glasses. Oh, wear the glasses. I'll fight you, wear these glasses. And then suddenly after he wears the glasses, Keith David's like, his character, what's his name? Frank, that's it. Frank's like, oh yeah, I believe. It's like, mate, you did not need like 5-10 minute fight just to put your glasses on to see that sign. Just ask nicely. After that, I was just out of the movie completely.
The fight, I think, is a great sort of microcosm for what this film is, because it's excess and it's sort of meta-textual in a way, because even the style in which those two are fighting doesn't quite make sense for the world in which they exist. Like, they're literally using wrestling moves on each other, and obviously they've choreographed that because Roddy Piper had like input on the way in which the fight was choreographed, and because he's a wrestler, that's what he's bringing to the table. And it's just weird to see these two throwing down like in a wrestling bout in an alley. Now,
there's no need.
I think I can kind of appreciate what John Carpenter's doing with this. Obviously, the reason that fight is so long is because he's trying to get across this message that it's not easy to wake people up. That whole fight's meant to be a representation of Roddy Piper trying to wake up Keith David, and that constant sort of, he keeps saying no and he keeps trying to walk away from it. He keeps trying to take the easy route out, and Keith David is trying to walk away and go back to his family and live the sort of sheltered. He wants to live in the Matrix. Whereas Roddy Piper is the one who's fighting constantly to try and make sure his friend knows what the world is about. I can appreciate that, but I totally agree that there's a point on a visceral level when you've been watching a fight go on for like 6 minutes where you just kind of go, like, come on, guys.
Totally out. But even the character of Holly, so you go on about like trying to get them to believe. And she's there and she's saying, whatever you do, I still believe like this. She's very succumbing. She's very... she succumbs to his like sort of thing and just says, yeah, whatever, you're right, whatever like this, and he kind of gives up. She doesn't have any kind of like free thought in that particular moment when he goes back to her flat, which I quite like, because that is a really good example of like, however much you try and push people, they won't put the glasses on, they won't try and believe unless you really push them. The fight was just far too excessive.
Which, by the way, can we just mention, because it has to be in this fucking episode, the moment where she just smashes a bottle over his head and lobs him out of a window.
Oh god, yeah, so yeah, it's stuff
funny.
Like that. Like, so I mean,
so
this is what I mean. Like, it's supposed to be a serious film and stuff like that happens. But then going back,
I don't think it is supposed to be a serious film. I think John Carpenter
comes across so much, mate. No, everything is set up for a serious film. Everything's set up, like I said, the imposing presence, the music, the theme, which is incredible. I love the theme of it. Everything to do with the everything that doesn't come out of the main character's mouth or whatever doesn't happen to the main character is serious. It's there. It's like unreal. It's the main character, what's his name, Roddy Piper, destroys it for me. If he wasn't this film and it was a different character, a different person, even like the weird guy doing it, like if it was someone not Roddy Piper, I'd probably be in. But it just ruined it for me. He ruined it for me. Just like in regards to the machoism of this film, I don't like how they become indestructible. There's two guys with guns fighting probably about 50 people and they kill 50 people, going down corridors where they're almost like stormtroopers and the guns can't get to them. To be fair, I've just referenced Star Wars where the three main characters do that and guns don't get them, but stormtroopers notoriously can't shoot. These run about police and army people, like security in the modern day world where they're not exactly stormtroopers. Like, if you're trying to be realistic, you're trying to make a statement on the new world, there's shootings all over the world at the moment. We aren't a world run by stormtroopers. We're run by a world full of people who are actually accurate. Like, Christ, why give them superheroes power? Why have we got Superman and his sidekick fighting the bloody like capitalist headquarters to destroy a bloody array. I'm out. I'm so sorry. I'm out. It's been a long time in film clubs since I've been this out of film, probably since The Grinch.
For me, I think it's a bit more representative of John Carpenter's work outside of like The Thing. I think that this kind of nails his tonal back and forth that he does in some of his other work. Obviously, the protagonist here is a bit more like his traditional protagonists, and it asks a lot of its audience.
The Obey the Advertising, I think that's a great scene where he's going through, he's looking at everything, he's looking at the magazines, going through it, he's absolutely gobsmacked. What a cracking scene. So fair enough, the main character hasn't spoiled that. Cracking scene, because even the use of black and white, we mentioned the use of black and white, almost like it's like a layer taken off it. It's almost like it's no longer superficial, everything's actually what it means.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Like it was the aliens that, colorized the world and made it poppy and fun for us to exist in.
Exactly.
But anyway, there is They Live, and that is a recommendation from one of our commenters, Chaka Mon. So thank you very much for recommending They Live. But next week, our friend Tom has been recommending a couple of John Carpenter films, and we'd like to keep going a little bit. And we're going to take a look at Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, not redemption, because it's in the past, but redemption.
So until then, get watching.
Bye. Hopefully it's better.